U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by your Case IH dealers. Hello again and welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Orion Samuelson, and don't even blink during the next 30 minutes. We have a busy show. First, a look at the Soviet aid package and reaction. Then we'll go to Moscow, where the American Soybean Association has opened a new office. Then let's go to Minneapolis for the kickoff of National Farm City Week. Back to Kansas City to look in on the American Royal and talk to the new FFA president. And we'll go to Washington and talk turkey. All that after this from your Case IHD.
This is what most people call trading. Well, for Case IH dealers, that's just part of it. We stress hands-on workshops where service personnel perform diagnostic procedures on Case International equipment. Every year, more than 3,000 technicians sharpen their skills at one of our 4 training centers, which is why there's just one place to go for professional care, your Case IH dealer.
How do farmers rate their axial flow combines? More grain, better grain quality, less maintenance, higher resale value. Check out the advantages of an axial flow combine and rate it yourself. Take these 6 steps to better grain quality. If you're looking for better quality grain and more of it, step up to an axial flow combine.
Too much drinking leads to close encounters for Tony and Angela.
I feel faint.
Yeah?
This could be it.
Tony?
Yeah.
This isn't the way Rhett Butler did it.
Wait. Take it easy.
That's more like it.
On the next Who's the Boss?
Saturday night at 7 on Channel 16.
The resources of our fragile planet can be conserved if every day, in some very simple ways, each of us makes a difference.
All of us have the opportunity to affect our future. Take the time to care about our environment.
Well, finally, after about half a dozen starts and stops over the last several weeks, the administration announced our aid package to the Soviet Union on Wednesday. And the final figure came in well below the $3.5 billion we were talking about several weeks ago. The details of the program announced by the White House and Secretary Madigan: $1,250 million in agricultural export credit, primarily for livestock feed. Another $165 million for food for people. This is an outright gift, humanitarian aid. Along with that, some technical assistance. And the day after they announced the aid package, the Department of Agriculture said it would also grant, under the Export Enhancement Program, 200,000 tons of barley and 500,000 tons of flour if the Soviets wanted. $500 million of the export credit available immediately. And then, in 3 installments, $250 million in February, March, and April of next year. Secretary of Agriculture Ed Madigan was questioned about several aspects of the program, one of them having to do with the domestic economy here at home. He was asked how we could provide this for the Soviets when we have economic problems here.
This is a domestic program that has as its intent moving U.S. grain out of the U.S. market for the benefit of American farmers who will make these sales, and then we'll spend that money in the American economy buying pickup trucks and buying other things that are manufactured in urban areas.
Secretary Madigan was also asked if he thought there'd be more aid made available later.
That we are responding to the needs of this winter, and the request of the Soviet Union was for all of 1992 with regard to some commodities, so we are not foreclosing here the possibility of some future credit extension to the Soviet Union. That will depend upon how they handle the responsibilities that they have due and owing to us in the intervening months.
And in St. Paul, Minnesota, former Secretary of Agriculture John Block offered this reaction to the Soviet package.
Well, first of all, I would like to have seen him make it earlier. This thing's been drug out too long. The announcement falls short of expectations on the part of agriculture. The question certainly is, well, will it be enough? Will it get the Soviets through the winter? What's going to happen to our exports? I think these are serious, important questions to ask. I do believe, though, that if it looks like we're coming up short, there'll probably be more money coming. But the president has been put in a box on this thing because of the concern about whether they pay the money back, and he didn't want to extend the credit or give the aid until he had some real assurance. And in the Soviet Union, they haven't been able to figure out who's on first over there yet. And that's one reason why he's dealing with republics more than we ever imagined he would.
American producers are hopeful that they'll get a large share of that Soviet market when the reforms are in place. As a matter of fact, when we were in Kansas City at the Farm Broadcasters Convention a week ago, we watched live via satellite from Moscow the opening of the new office of the American Soybean Association. And among those appearing on that telecast from Moscow, Viktor Lashenko of Food and Agriculture, the USSR Academy of Sciences, who said some things that we wouldn't have heard from a Soviet official a few years ago.
First of all, congratulations to the grand opening of your office in Moscow. And we're all looking forward to have more activities from your office here in Moscow. Speaking about Soviet Union today, I must admit that Soviet Union in real trouble. The political reforms in restructuring still going on, and unfortunately politics is still running ahead of economics. Talking about agriculture, I can tell you that the agriculture, especially the livestock industry, does have lots of problems. Because of the lower crop this year, we have 3 billion bushels of grain this year, less than a year ago. We practically will have no grain feeds for livestock, and we have to kill lots of livestock this year. We already killed almost 10 million sheep. It's as much as you have in the country. We killed 7 million hogs, and so on. We used to spend for our livestock, we do have a huge livestock industry. We used to spend for livestock a year 5-6 billion bushels of grain. Unfortunately, we spend for each kilo of gain in livestock 2-3 times more grain than you used to, because we don't have soybeans. We need more high-protein feeds. We hope to stay on the market buying beans from your country.
While Soviet citizens stand in line waiting to buy food, here in the United States we're celebrating the miracle of abundance during National Farm City Week. The event was kicked off in St. Paul, Minnesota on Thursday with 129 people at a table enjoying the miracle of abundance.
Oh yes, that kickoff luncheon to start Farm City Week was just a highlight of our year. There's not a better way to start it off than to share the table with the Commissioner of Agriculture from Minnesota and the 129 people that that commissioner, or as he represents one farmer, the 129 people he feeds.
I don't know if we had any Soviet people at the table, but it looks like we're going to be feeding more of them from America's farms, doesn't it?
And that's the good news of the week, yes, that we're going to be feeding more. So I don't believe there were any here today at that table, but we do have the commissioner's family and some of the young people and the representatives of about every walk of life.
Elton and Joyce Redolin represented America's farmers as the host farmer at the head of the table. Elton is Commissioner of Agriculture in the state of Minnesota, but he comes from quite a family farm. And how did it feel to sit at the head of the table to see all of the folks he helps feed?
Well, I feel great about it, and I feel proud as a farmer that we can show what American agriculture is all about, what family farmers are providing for this country and the world.
because that's the second hat you wear at this luncheon today. You and your wife, Joyce, chosen to be the typical farm family that feeds the 128 people seated at this dining table. Let's find out a little bit about the Redallen family farm.
Well, we have 7 children, 5 sons and 2 daughters. The 2 daughters are at each end. There's 20 years between them, Sharon and Jane. 3 of the boys are living on farms. One runs our dairy operation, one runs the beef. The other one lives on one of our farms and helps out part-time. But his wife has a business in our little town of Fountain. The other 2 boys, one is a banker and one is in the insurance business.
And is the entire family here with you today?
Well, they are, with the exception of one, the dairy farmer. And he got up this morning and he called my wife and said, he said, Mom, you know, you tell those folks that if we're feeding 128 or 29 people, someone better stay back on the farm and do the work. And so that's where he is, Orion.
And former Secretary of Agriculture John Block was the keynote speaker.
My message has to be American agriculture, the envy of the world. There's no question about it. American agriculture and all of the other segments of the food chain have provided bounty at a reasonable price and the greatest selection to the people of this land and other countries that anyone could ever imagine. We're feeding 129 people, almost 100 in this country, the rest of them overseas, and the cost of food here, well, it's a real bargain here in the United States, because I've been in other countries and I know the difference.
We'll talk more about National Farm City Week later on Samuelson Says. And then we're going back to Kansas City right after this from your Case IH dealer.
Buy a Case International Magnum, Maxim, or new 92 Series 4-wheel drive tractor, and you drive away with the one standard feature no one else even offers. The exclusive 5-year, 5,000-hour warranty. With a Magnum tractor's 5-year, 5,000-hour warranty, you won't pay more than $200 for a repair. Except for the first year, when you pay nothing. Magnum means more than ever.
It's not easy being a truck.
Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever got to me.
But through it all, Chevy full-size has the best resale value in the business. Chevy trucks.
Like a rock,
The trucks you can depend on. The trucks that last.
like a rock.
Did you ever wish that you could change the world? Well, you can. Become a big brother or a big sister. You can help a young person improve school performance, increase self-esteem, and stay out of trouble. A kid needs a special friend to count on for guidance, acceptance, and love. A kid needs you. Become a big brother or big sister, and for one kid, you can change the world.
There was so much going on in Kansas City last week, we couldn't cover it all in 30 minutes, so let's go back and look in on the American Royal. Our colleague Dave Russell was there.
Orion, a total of 202 4-H and FFA steers paraded through the show ring here in Kansas City at the 1991 American Royal. But in the end, Rusty Day, a 4-year 4-H member from Meadow, Texas, had his 1,284-pound steer selected grand champion.
Well, his name's Willie, and we've had him for about 6 months. and he eats like a pig, and he doesn't like anybody messing with his head.
Carson Craddock, a 10-year 4-H member from Stewart, Illinois, exhibited the reserve grand champion steer.
Well, he's a Sugar Ray. We bought him from Jeff Adams. We took him to the Illinois State Fair, and he was reserve grand champion steer there. And then we put him in the barn and kept him for this show.
Dr. Doug Parrott, Extension Beef Specialist at the University of Illinois, judged the American Royal Market Steer Show. He was impressed not only by the overall quality of the steers, but by the amount of muscle they had.
We went through a phase where emphasis for 10 or 15 years was just strictly rate of gain, rapid growth, and we didn't worry much about composition. Now, in the last 4 or 5 years, we really emphasized increasing the amount of meat product that we have in our cattle, and of course, eliminate the fat, which is on everybody's mind.
Is there a particular area that we still need to do a little work on?
Well, I think, you know, we're getting real close to matching our cattle type with our commercial producer industry and also what the consumer wants. I mean, we're probably as close right now as we've been in many years, because lots of times the show ring is used to change type, move them leaner or fatter or more muscle or rapid gain or something like that, single trait type of movement. But now we've kind of shifted to combination, where we got cattle that work for the whole industry, particularly now with more muscle and less fat.
The grand champion steer here at this 1991 American Royal was the champion of 4-H steer. Your comments on it?
Well, you know, what's one thing that's tough about judging. It's a lot like umpiring. You know, there's some are balls and some are strikes. And when you get quality this good, you know, it gets to be a personal preference. There was probably 15, 18, 20 steers that I'm sure have won other shows and been champions in their own states, their own region. But when they get out here, you know, gets to real nitty-gritty, and so you gotta make a decision. Our champion steer that won the 4-H division and then won overall probably had the most muscle of any of the steers we had to evaluate. And he also had that muscle in the right combination with other body parts. The right amount of finish to produce a high-quality product, very sound on his feet and legs so he could function while he's alive in a feedlot in production. So he put all those traits together, and that's what made him win.
At the 1991 American Royal Livestock Show and Rodeo in Kansas City, this is Dave Russell for U.S. Farm Reports.
Thank you, Dave, for that report on the American Royal. And then the new president of the FFA, Lee Thurber from Nebraska, who proved that you don't necessarily have to have a farm background to become national president.
Well, to be honest with you, I actually didn't grow up on a farm. My family lives on an acreage south of Lincoln, Nebraska, and my dad's a veterinarian. So my actual background in production agriculture is somewhat limited, but all my grandparents were farmers, and I certainly understand the importance of production agriculture, there's no doubt. In my supervised agricultural experience program, I've had some pigs, and we put some fence up around our pasture, and I've had some sheep, and I've kept some calves on a neighbor's pasture. So I've certainly had a somewhat background in production agriculture.
Well, then, the next question, how does someone without a farming background say, I want to go into FFA and I want to go into this type of career?
Well, that's a question that's often asked. And when you consider our organization, and when you consider the industry of agriculture and consider what direction we're heading, the industry is shifting. There's more emphasis placed on agri-science, on agri-sales, on marketing. The direction that we're headed in agricultural education is shifting. And as a result, the FFA is shifting as well to meet those shifting demands. And for any student, there's opportunity in FFA. We obviously have not taken anything away from production agriculture. We still emphasize in production agriculture, but we're also placing emphasis in these other areas as well. And any student can find a niche in FFA and take advantage of the opportunities, the diverse opportunities that we have to offer.
There may be some green hands in our audience right now who say, I'd like to be where he is someday. Can you sort of take us through your FFA career that led to the national president's position?
Well, one thing I always enjoyed in FFA was just a chance to meet as many people as possible, to be in as many leadership activities as I could. And if there are any green hands out there right now, just go for it.
Lee Thurber, the new president of the FFA from the state of Nebraska, that also had the Star Farmer of America at this year's FFA convention. Well, you'll probably be among the 45 million Americans who'll sit down to a turkey dinner on Thanksgiving Day, and they were talking turkey in Washington this week. Here's Jill Olmsted.
Americans are gobbling up turkey, now estimated at a record 19 pounds per person each year. 1991 has been a tough year for turkey growers.
All year long, the costs that we've received have been at or actually below the cost of production. There are a number of reasons for that. One is because the overall recession has hurt turkey consumption as well. Another factor that's important to us today is the fact that there's just too much meat around.
Turkey growers first got the message they were overproducing last year when they had record inventories. So they restricted growth and have been trying to meet consumer demand for convenience by moving away from the whole bird, promoting turkey parts, and developing new low-fat products.
Ground turkey is increasingly popular today, and there are a whole number of things that can be done with ground turkey as a ground beef substitute.
Producers are hurt by European community subsidies, which make American products more expensive.
We're investigating now whether the European community, in particular France, are subsidizing turkey exports into Korea. And if they are, then we need to know that.
As for sales to the Soviets, who are looking to buy the cheapest form of protein, there is the lingering problem of how they would pay for turkey imports.
Again, we're interested in USDA providing credits, making credits available for meat products and poultry in particular.
In Washington, Jill Olmstead, U.S. Farm Report.
Incidentally, the National Turkey Federation again presented a turkey to the first family in the White House, a 45-pound turkey grown by Don Daufelt of West Liberty, Iowa. Our country church salute this week takes us to America's dairy land, to Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin, where we salute St. John's Lutheran Church, a congregation that celebrated its centennial on May 19th of this year. During the course of its history, it has worshiped in 3 different facilities. Its membership has grown from the 13 that originally organized the congregation in 1891 to more than 1,000 people. They celebrated in May and then held a confirmation reunion in September of this year. Our thanks to Mrs. Jan Frank of Sauk City, Wisconsin, for the story of this week's Country Church. We'll be back with Earl Finkel's weather update after this from your Case IH dealer.
At Case, we believe the customer's definition of quality is the only one that counts. You can see it in the way these Magnum tractors are built. Computers and lasers check tolerances to 40 millionths of an inch. High-speed robots supply paint with perfection. Components pass hundreds of quality checks, and then every completed tractor is tested again. Quality. It's good for your business and ours.
When you're the best, you can take a few knocks.
Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever got to me.
With the best rust protection, Chevy full-size is America's best-selling truck. Chevy trucks.
Like a rock,
The trucks you can depend on. The trucks that last.
like a rock.
Old MacDonald had a mule. He lived in Ohio, and on his mule he hauled supplies to where he had to go. Well, he hauled things here and he hauled things there. Here he hauled, there he hauled, everywhere he hauled. Old MacDonald had a mule. It didn't cost much show.
The hard-working Mule 500 from Kawasaki carries everything but a big price tag. Affordably priced at $39.99.
Old MacDonald had a mule, and boy did that thing go.
It's called Gotcha, a game that cable TV operators play on their customers. They sell packages of channels, so you have to pay a lot for the few that you want. Then they raise your rates, 56% in the last 4 years. Then when there's something you really want to see, they put it on pay-per-view. Gotcha. Now there's a cable consumer protection bill in Congress that will change all that. Ask your senators to vote yes on S-12. If cable wins, consumers lose.
On our last Who's Your Millionaire, Nancy Rumbaugh of Kokomo went to our millionaire round and won $221,000.
And joining us this week will be Mavis R. Sloop of Logansport, Don Wallace of Greenwood, Ruth Jackson of Shirley, Debbie Morkin of Fort Wayne, Jewel Sims of Columbus, and Julia Vasquez of Fort Wayne.
Tune in Saturday for our Lotto Cash drawing and your chance to become our next Who's Your Millionaire.
Who's Your Millionaire? Saturday at 7:30 only on Channel 16.
Well, it's time to say goodbye to November, a very wintry month. Let's hope December turns out to be a little more summer-like. Earl Finkel is the man who can tell us all about it. You will warm it up, won't you, Earl?
Yes, not too badly after this weekend. But, you know, this month got separated by cold, abnormally warm, cold. We divide it out, we may come out with what looks like an even month again.
Another average month of weather, despite
beat
the
us
ups
all
and
up,
downs.
yeah.
You're right. Well, let's take a look at Thanksgiving week, beginning with Monday.
Don't look too bad now. High pressure settles in behind that big weekend storm, and this should be fairly mild air coming back up. Showers starting to come off of the Midwest.
And by the day after Thanksgiving?
Well, a little more action comes along. This high settles in here. This is milder Pacific air. This warmer air comes back up with drizzle up in through the high plains, and the next weather system's dropping out of the high country.
And will there be any snow to go to grandmother's house?
A little bit, but not too exciting. This is snow yet up here. This is a little rain, snow area. This is rain showers. And here's the drizzle. SeaTac, get ready for an exciting December.
Oh, really? Is that a forebearer of things to come?
That's a forebearer of things to come.
All right. Earl Finkel will be back with us next week, and we'll have him take us all the way through the holiday season. So stand by next week when we look at that extended weather forecast. Time now for commodity comments, and when we add it all up at the end of the week, it looks like maybe the announcement helped the market a little bit, despite the fact, as we said earlier, those numbers were much lower than we'd originally talked. Let's look first of all at the Chicago Board of Trade. Wheat, a big gainer. China bought some wheat this week, and concern over the condition of the crop in the wheat growing area. December wheat up 18.5 cents, saw a new contract high on Friday. March wheat up 15 3/4. Corn, fractional change. December up 3/4, March up 1/4. Soybeans managed a little bit of a gain, with January up 6 1/4 cents and March beans up 5 3/4. Soybean meal mixed on the close, December down $0.50, January up 40 cents. It was an up and down market at the Mercantile Exchange this week. A cattle on feed report that saw selling of nearbys, buying of the distant months. December cattle down $1.53, February cattle down $0.50. Hogs higher, up 45 cents on the December contract, February up 18, and bacon down 23 points in February and 45 points in March. And that's it for commodity comments. On Samuelson says, a tip of the hat to the folks in Minnesota who worked with our National Farm City Council to put together an outstanding kickoff for National Farm City Week. The activity goes through Thanksgiving Day, and I would hope that somewhere during this week you'll find the time and the opportunity to understand a little bit more about the interdependence of rural and urban America. We're blessed with an abundant agriculture in this country. On Thanksgiving Day, let's give thanks for that, and let's take time to get some common sense understanding of what it takes to put food on the table. Finally, you have been squinting and looking, saying, is that really hogs? Yep, it's my pig tie, sent to me by Greg Hansen out at Paradise Valley, Arizona. Thank you for the tie, an early Christmas gift. That's it for Samuelson Says. That's our time for this week on U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by your Case IH dealers.
There is a mighty spirit shining out.
In Salisbury, Maryland, the hungry are being fed. In Wind Falls, Indiana, a man who learned to read at 47 is making sure others learn earlier. In Hope, New Mexico, people turned an abandoned school into a thriving community center. In Boston, Massachusetts, neighbors set up a crime hotline that's making their streets safer. From Seattle to Galveston, from Buffalo to Fargo, every day, someone in America is doing something to light up another life. But there is so much more to do. The light to do it is within us all. We only need to share it. Contact the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
Millions worldwide depend on Medical Alert to provide life-saving information in an emergency. To learn more, call 1-800-ID-ALERT. That's 1-800-ID-ALERT.